Here we go. All right, let's get to it. Mikey Williams just turned 22. Now he lives. Now he lives. He, now, how he now lives is sad. Damn, I can't read. Yeah, I haven't heard from him in years. Let's see what's going on.
Potential in the NBA is, I think, done. I think it's done. I don't think we're going to be seeing Mikey Williams in the NBA.
Mikey Williams has now turned 22 years old, and
bro, he used to be like that high school game. Like y'all, like, bro, I remember when Mikey Williams, bro, was on. I was following him on Instagram and everything when I was playing high school basketball. Bro, his fell off is crazy though, all because of a legal case. Think about that for a second. Your life can change just like this because of a case, bro. He allegedly shot at a car and shit. Yeah, he want to play that gangster shit, and now he fighting for a position in the NBA, and probably his cloud is over with. I haven't heard his name, so we moved on from him. That's crazy as fuck too.
the way he lives now is sad. There is no other word for it. Not long ago, he was the most talked about teenage basketball player in the entire country. Every major outlet was covering him. NBA superstars were posting about him. Corporations were writing him checks before he ever played a college game. The world had already decided he was going to be a star. But somewhere between that moment and right now, everything changed. Off-court troubles derailed his path. His career stalled in ways nobody saw coming. In the future that once looked at
the only way I see him come back is doing a YouTube channel, basketball YouTube channel. Like what the professor does, and what, you know, Cash Nasty and Flight and all those type of people do. That's the only way I think he could come back, is doing some basketball live content and shit like that. Live streaming, getting to streaming and doing that type of content. That's the only way I think he come back.
inevitable suddenly became uncertain. The story behind how it all fell apart is more complicated than most people know. Stay with us until the end, because this one is worth understanding fully. To understand what Mikey Williams is right now, you have to go back to where this all started.
That's a good lesson to you young niggas that want to do shit, you feel me? And you end up, you know, getting into legal trouble. This shit could really destroy your life.
Before he turned 18, before he played a single college basketball game, before any of the legal headlines, Mikey Williams had already become one of the most recognized young basketball players in the entire country. That is not an exaggeration. That is just the reality of what this kid was. Growing up in San Diego, California, Williams possessed a combination of raw athleticism, explosive leaping ability, and an instinctive scoring touch that made scouts and coaches stop everything they were doing and pay attention. He was putting up numbers in high school that seemed almost unreal. As a freshman at San Ysidro High School, Williams averaged nearly 30 points a game and at one point dropped 77 points in a single contest, breaking the school's single game scoring record before he had even started shaving regularly. 77 points in high school. Let that sink in for a moment. But what truly separated Mikey Williams from every other talented teenager in
yeah, that's impressive. When I did play, I was on the bench, low key. I never actually got to, how do I explain this, y'all? I was never in middle school, we'll say this. I was playing with middle school for sure. I was on my middle school basketball team. High school, I never got to, I stepped on the court. I did like the practice shit, you feel me? And I was actually better than a lot of them niggas. Like, I was top like 7 in my school. No, I would say actually like I was like spot 11. You feel me? So we had the top 10 for me, and I was like number 11. So I was like right out the roster. But I was still practicing with these basketball niggas. For me, I was guarding the main superstar point guard. He was averaging like 25. Low key cooked me a little bit, but I was cooking the ass sometimes for me. I got highlights too. I don't know where they're at though. They might be on one of my I have to check my iCloud, low-key. What the fuck?
Why are you still using bots for your meetings?
How else am I gonna remember what happened?
Just use granola.
Okay, what's granola?
Chat,
With
why
granola,
my
you get-
videos just... What the fuck? Hold on. Bro, we just...
So look, Mikey Williams.
There we are.
How young athletes were discovered and marketed, Williams arrived at exactly the right moment with attention. He was putting up numbers in high school.
What are you doing tomorrow? What's tomorrow? Tomorrow Monday, right? No, Tuesday. Low key, just this, editing, talking to my team, uploading videos on YouTube, mostly content and training. That's it, really. Bro, can I ask you a question? What's up? Be honest. Am I stressed sometimes? Am I stressed sometimes? No. I think that you just gotta remember shit. I mean, bad memory is it's a lot. It's not a liability. Well, it is, but it's you gotta work on that, low key. It's something you can work on. It's not like why it takes so long to answer? Because I'm trying to think about what type of sped. You feel me? Because somebody could be slow on text or whatever, but on the phone it's different. So, like, no, I'm saying like overall the way I text or think. Nah, I don't think so. You just have bad memory, low key. Appreciate it, yeah, for sure.
That seemed almost unreal. As a freshman at San Ysidro High School, Williams averaged nearly 30 points a game, and at
you know that, gang. For me, fuck with you too.
one point dropped 77 points in a single contest, breaking the school's single game scoring record before he had even started shaving regularly. 77 points in high school. Let that sink in for a moment.
You know, the thing about it is too, if I still went to school, I could have a chance to go to high school or college basketball. I was like a chat. I'm nice as shit when it comes to get on the court. You feel me? I actually have clips. If y'all go back on my Instagram, I think it's posted up there. Yeah, you ain't going to school with facts. I'm not going back. But aren't you in? No, I'm not. My girl is though, but I ain't. I'm not in Florida Virtual School. I'm in the system though. I think I went for like 5. I think I went for a semester in the. Oh, is it illegal? No. After 16, you can do what you want, low key. So I decided, fuck. Yeah, after 16. Yeah, 17. I'm 17.
But what truly separated Mikey Williams from every other talented teenager in America was not just what he could do on the court, it was what he was building off of it. At a time when social media was beginning to transform how young athletes were discovered and marketed, Williams arrived at exactly the right moment with exactly the right skill set and exactly the right personality for the digital age. His dunks went viral. His mixtapes circulated across YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter with the kind of organic momentum that marketing agencies spend millions trying to manufacture artificially. LeBron James himself praised the kid. NBA stars were posting about him, sharing his clips, and essentially validating to the entire.
It's funny how one person can be on the top like this and then fall right off. That's how y'all know this shit is. That's how y'all know success can come like this and it can leave like this. You feel me? That's why when you become successful in whatever field you do or whatever environment you're in, always remember, never be complacent because it could be taken away from you. Always be grateful for it and always do the right thing. If you think about second chances and shit, you're gonna lose because you gotta be like, alright, this is what it is. Let me act. It's certain. You feel me?
Basketball world that this teenager from San Diego was the real deal. Before he even played his junior year of high school, Mikey Williams had amassed millions of followers across his social media platforms. More than 3 million people on Instagram alone. He was not just a basketball prospect, he was a cultural phenomenon. He was a
I wonder what he actually is doing now. Let's look this up on Instagram. Is he actually? Let me see. Shout out King for me. That's the one streamer I fuck with like that. Fuck. Mikey. How do you spell this nigga name? Not Mike. Does he even have Instagram no more? Mikey. Yeah, this nigga doesn't even come on my recommended no more. Where's his main account? Hold on, bro. What's Mikey's Instagram? Here we go. What's bro been doing so far? 3 weeks ago. 200K. He's still popping. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. He's still getting them 200K, 400K. He's still getting a good amount of likes, low key. Probably getting like 100K likes, so that's like 1 million views a pop. Yeah, he's still, you feel me? But him playing NBA, fuck no, he ain't fucking NBA low key. He could definitely be a good YouTuber though, low key.
He was a story that America had already decided it wanted to follow all the way to the NBA, and that kind of attention brought the kind of financial opportunity that most professional athletes do not see until after they have already been drafted. When Williams was a junior in high school, he made history in a way that nobody had ever done before in American sports. He became the first American high school basketball player to sign a major footwear endorsement deal, inking an agreement with Puma that made national news and sent shockwaves through the sports business world. Think about what that moment represented. A teenager
He in high school. He my age in high school having Puma deals. Is, bro, this is why like I say, gang, you can be on top of the world, but fall off the cliff just like that. Even though he's still pulling these massive views on his Instagram and shit, we don't hear about him no more. You feel me? That's how crazy it is.
just still in high school, not yet committed to a college program, had convinced one of the largest athletic brands on the planet that he was worth investing in before he had played a single minute of college or professional basketball. That does not happen unless the people writing the checks believe with total confidence that this player is going to become one of the faces of the sport for the next decade. Puma was not making a gamble. They were making what appeared at the time to be
Whoa.
What's that?
I just built a budgeting app in Base 44.
Guys,
an obvious business decision. Mikey Williams was going to be a star, and they wanted to be attached to that star from the very beginning. The expectations that followed were extraordinary. As Williams entered his final years of high school and began navigating the recruiting process, he was not being recruited as just another talented prospect. He was being discussed as a future lottery pick, a potential franchise cornerstone, a player whose combination of talent, marketability, and cultural footprint could make him one of the most valuable young athletes in all of professional sports. Blue blood college programs came calling with the kind of aggressive recruitment reserved for once-in-a-generation prospects. Analysts on ESPN and CBS Sports were already projecting his trajectory. His Instagram numbers were growing faster than his already impressive statistics. The narrative around Mikey Williams was not a question of whether he would reach the NBA. The narrative was about how quickly it would happen and how dominant he would become once he got there. Nobody was writing cautionary tale articles. Nobody was raising red flags. The entire basketball world was simply waiting for the next chapter of what everyone assumed would be an inevitable success story. On November 5th, 2022, Williams made it official. He committed to play college basketball at the University of Memphis under head coach Penny Hardaway, himself a former NBA star and one of the most respected names in the sport. The commitment was another headline, another moment that validated the trajectory everyone had mapped out for this kid. Memphis had a history of producing NBA talent, and pairing Penny Hardaway's coaching pedigree with Mikey Williams' unique combination of skill and stardom seemed like a perfect match. The basketball world applauded the decision. People circled the date of his college debut on the calendar. Everything was moving exactly the way everyone expected. And then on April 13th, 2023, everything stopped. Word broke that Mikey Williams had been arrested in San Diego County following a shooting incident at his home. The details that emerged were serious and immediately alarming. According to prosecutors, a car arrived at Williams' home carrying several individuals, and shots were fired at the vehicle. The arrests generated national headlines within hours. Every sports outlet in the country, every basketball analyst, every fan who had followed.
That's why, like, I be preaching to niggas who are actually working on their life, bro. Sleep. Like, even myself, bro, I struggle with staying out of drama. You feel me? I struggle with, like, if a nigga call me and say some shit, let's get on, right? But the thing about it is, it's if I struggle with this now, it's gonna be even worse when I get older. So I have to learn how to navigate. You feel me? Because imagine I got 3 million followers, and I get into some shit like this. You feel me? My career over with. And that's the thing about it, bro. That's what's scary. So when I tell niggas all the time, bro, you need to stay out of shit. You feel me? When I'm like, just ignore everyone. If you gotta distance yourself from every fucking body to stay in your lane, then fucking do that. Key.
His rise with excitement was suddenly talking about something that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball. The story that had been building toward a triumphant college debut and an inevitable NBA future had taken a turn that nobody had anticipated and nobody quite knew how to process. One moment, Mikey Williams was one of the most celebrated teenage athletes in America. The next, he was facing criminal charges that carried the potential for a decades-long prison sentence. The legal case that unfolded was as serious as anything a young athlete in this country had ever faced at that stage of their life. Prosecutors filed 9 felony charges against Williams, including multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon and charges related to firing into an occupied vehicle. 9 felonies. For context, a single felony conviction in the state of California can permanently alter a person's life, eliminating employment opportunities, professional licenses, and in the world of professional sports, raising the kind of red flags that organizations simply cannot ignore. 9 of them stacked against a 20-year-old kid who had been, just weeks earlier, preparing for his college basketball debut, created a level of uncertainty that was almost impossible to overstate. The Puma deal, the college commitment, the NBA projections, the millions of followers, none of it mattered anymore, because all of it was suddenly secondary to the question of whether Mikey Williams would be spending the foreseeable future in a courtroom or in a prison cell. The University of Memphis responded the way any institution would when faced with that level of legal uncertainty. Williams enrolled at Memphis in the fall of 2023 and took online classes, but the basketball program did not allow him to practice or participate with the team while the criminal case remained unresolved. Months passed, his teammates were getting better, building chemistry, developing under Penny Hardaway's system while Williams was watching from the outside. The development that should have been happening was not happening. The college experience he had planned for, the basketball growth he needed, the exposure in front of NBA scouts that every young prospect depends on, all of it was on hold. For a player whose career depends on maintaining and building on momentum, standing still during what should have been a defining developmental period was a quietly devastating blow that did not get nearly enough attention in the coverage of his legal situation. The legal process finally reached a conclusion in November 2023 when Williams entered a plea agreement. He pleaded guilty to a single felony count of making a criminal threat, which represented a dramatic reduction from the original 9 felony charges that prosecutors had filed. By accepting the plea deal, he avoided the possibility of the kind of extended prison sentence that would have ended not just his basketball career, but fundamentally altered the entire course of his life. The court sentenced him to a year of summary probation. Eventually, as he complied with the terms of that agreement, the
credibility. Let me tell you, chat. Your credibility online is everything. If you're an influencer, bro, you lose that shit. It's like breaking glass. You can fix it, but it'll never be the same again.
Reduced to a misdemeanor, no jail time. A path forward that, at least legally speaking, gave him the chance to return to basketball. But here's the part of this story that the headline writers moved past too quickly. The legal outcome, as favorable as it ultimately was compared to what he could have faced, did not erase the damage that had already been done. Public perception had shifted permanently. The conversation around Mikey Williams was no longer about lottery picks and endorsement empires. It was about second chances and character concerns, and whether the kid who once seemed destined for superstardom could even hold a roster spot at the college level. The momentum that takes years to build, the kind of momentum that Williams had accumulated through thousands of hours of work and millions of hours of media attention, had evaporated in the span of a few months. And in the high-speed world of modern basketball recruiting and scouting, that kind of lost time and lost momentum is extraordinarily difficult to recover. Puma ended its endorsement partnership with Williams following the controversy. The deal that had made history, the agreement that had positioned him as one of the most marketable young athletes in the country before he ever played a college game, was gone. Other sponsorship opportunities that might have materialized in a world where his trajectory remained uninterrupted simply never arrived. The business infrastructure that had been quietly assembling around the idea of Mikey Williams as a future superstar quietly disbanded. Companies that were once eager to attach themselves to his rising star were now calculating the reputational risk of being associated with a player whose name was primarily appearing in legal news coverage rather than basketball highlights. The financial consequences of that shift were enormous. We are talking about millions of dollars in projected earnings, opportunities that, once lost at that stage of a young athlete's career, almost never return in the same form. After the legal case resolved, Williams made the decision to leave Memphis entirely. The program had made clear through his actions and through the long delay in clarifying his status that his return to the basketball team was not a priority for the university. His attorney said as much publicly. Williams entered the transfer portal and committed to the University of Central Florida, adding a prayer emoji to his announcement and writing 4 simple words that captured everything. All I needed was a chance. It was a phrase that hit differently when you understood what the previous year had looked like for him. Here was a player who had once been pursued by every major program.
I didn't know he was in UCF. That's in Orlando, I think. In Florida or some shit.
In the country, who had been celebrated by NBA superstars, who had signed a historic endorsement deal as a teenager, now simply asking for someone to let him play college basketball. UCF gave him that chance. But the 2024 to 2025 season at UCF was not the triumphant comeback that his supporters had hoped for. In 18 games with the Knights, Williams averaged just 5.1 points per game and 14 minutes of floor time per contest. Those numbers were not the production of a projected lottery pick. They were not the numbers that prompt NBA scouts to rearrange their schedules. For a player who had once averaged nearly 30 points a night in high school and had been ranked as the top prospect in the country during parts.
Some players can't adapt from high school pace to college basketball because, let me tell you something. My, what's it called? What's it high school coach? My high school basketball coach first year and second year played, second year had played my second year of high school, the high school I went to. I'm pretty sure he played college basketball, and then my middle school basketball teacher played college basketball. The difference between high school and college is the pace is 10 times faster than NBA, or 10 times faster than high school. High school, they let you slide on the little suicide runs. College, hell no. You got to get down and back in 10 seconds in high school. Or I think it's like 12 seconds high school. College, 10, NBA is even shorter than that. You feel me? And with the NBA in college, they'll look at you. They go through your whole life too. You feel me? Like, you're crazy.
Of his high school career, averaging 5 points in limited minutes at the college level, was a sobering reminder of how much the interruption had cost him. The development gap, the lost seasons of competitive basketball, the disruption to his confidence, his rhythm, and his professional trajectory, all of it showed up in those statistics in ways that were painful.
Shit, I would honestly, if I was in his position, I would have played through the legal case. For me, at the court, I would have just been grinding my ass off still.
To watch for anyone who remembered what this kid was supposed to become. The transfer portal became his destination once more. In April 2025, Williams committed to Sacramento State University, a program undergoing a dramatic transformation of its own under the newly appointed head coach Mike Bibby, the former Sacramento Kings star and NBA point guard, and with NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal serving as the program's general manager. It was a fascinating combination of circumstances. Sacramento State was rebuilding itself around big names and major personalities, and Mikey Williams fit that narrative. ESPN Shams Charania reported the move. It was news again, and for a moment it felt like the kind of fresh start that might actually work. And to be fair, Sacramento State gave Williams something UCF never quite did, a starting role and the opportunity to be the
Hey man, what's the best advice you can give someone that's in sales?
Switch to Monday CRM.
Oh, awesome.
centerpiece of an offense. His 2025 to 2026 numbers reflected that change in role dramatically. At Sacramento State, Williams was putting up over 17 points and 4.5 assists per game, showing flashes of the talent that had once made the entire basketball world stop and take notice. There were individual performances, including a 34-point game against Idaho State, where the old Mikey Williams reappeared briefly and reminded everyone watching that the skill had never completely disappeared. The question was never whether he could score basketball. The question was always bigger and more complicated than that, because NBA scouts, as the reporting made clear, remained unconvinced. Draft analysts were direct in their assessments. Despite the improved statistics at the college level, the level of competition at Sacramento State is not the level that NBA decision makers use to evaluate prospects in the modern draft era. Averaging 17 points against Big Sky Conference competition is a very different thing than averaging 17 points against the ACC or the Big Ten or the SEC. The players Williams was dominating at Sacramento State were not the players he would be expected to compete against in the NBA. And when scouts looked at the bigger picture, they saw a player who had spent years bouncing between programs, who had demonstrated inconsistency at a higher level of competition, who carried the legal history that organizations with millions of dollars invested in roster decisions take very seriously, and who was now putting up numbers in a conference that did not typically produce NBA rotation players. The projection that multiple analysts shared was not encouraging. The consensus among those who scout the draft professionally was that Williams was currently trending toward being undrafted, a conclusion that, when placed alongside the trajectory everyone once mapped out for him, is almost too stark to sit with comfortably. And then came another setback. During the 2025 to 2026 season at Sacramento State, Williams missed 10 games due to injury, including the final 8 games of the season. In a situation where every game matters enormously for his professional case, where every performance is another data point that scouts are watching, losing the back end of his season to injury added another obstacle to a journey that had already accumulated more obstacles than anyone could have predicted. The path that once...
You know what? If I was Mikey, this is what I would do. I would do a YouTube. I would be like a professor, but streaming. I would get into streaming, bro. You have all that money, nigga. You can pay for Clippers. You feel me? You got this. Everyone knows you, nigga. You got the fame, nigga. Monetize it. Fuck it. Get on stream. Get on YouTube. Post basketball clips of me cook niggas at the park like the professor, and yeah. Oh God. You know, teach people how to play the game of basketball. For me, tell them about your experience and your setbacks, story times, lifestyle content. Nigga, he could do all this shit and still pop. I promise you. Just because one legal, bro, the legal case didn't fully. Okay, the legal case destroyed his odds at the NBA for sure, but it didn't destroy his fan base. We just seen he got like 500K likes on Instagram on a recent post. You feel me? He got 3 million followers, 500K like. You feel me? He still got it. He still got that fan base. You feel me? He still got a decent sized fan base. So you know what I would do? I would get into streaming. You feel me? Get into basketball, IRL content, lifestyle content. You feel me? Do something like the professor. You feel me? Cook niggas at a basketball court. I would, hire a cameraman. You got the money. This nigga has the money for all that shit. So he needs to, once his college career is done, if he doesn't get drafted to the NBA, he needs to do that. He's 22. He still could get drafted. You feel me? But yeah, definitely should get into streaming though, or some other aspect of social media. I mean, if he gets into YouTube, you feel me? He could start being consistent, and then he could, he won't make it. He'll bounce back. Shit. You bounce back.
ran straight and smooth toward the NBA had become something else entirely, something winding, uncertain, and marked by detours that nobody who watched him play in high school could have imagined. So why does all of this feel sad? That is a word that gets used a lot when people talk about Mikey Williams now, and it is worth understanding exactly what that word means in this context. The sadness is not simply about the legal situation, as serious as that was. The sadness is not simply about the statistics or the transfer portal or the endorsement deals that disappeared. The sadness comes from something deeper and more human. It comes from watching enormous potential, the kind of potential that appears genuinely once in a generation, get redirected by a series of decisions made when a person was still a teenager. It comes from understanding that the gap between who Mikey Williams appeared to be at 17 and who he has become at 22.
You don't hear that shit no more. This was the last true case of this shit. When haven't you heard of a viral basketball phenomenon like this? We haven't anymore. It's 2026. We haven't no more, bro. Social media has changed everything in the past life has changed a lot in the past 3 years. When it comes to likes on Instagram, social media views, Instagram algorithms, social media algorithm, all that shit, right? It's completely fucking changed, man. Yeah.
Is not the result of a lack of talent. Scouts who have watched him closely will tell you that the athleticism is still there. The burst, the court vision, the ability to get to the rim, none of that vanished. What happened was something that no basketball drill can teach and no coaching staff can install. What happened was the irreversible loss of time, momentum, development, and a singular window in a young player's career when everything is either accelerating toward a destination or quietly beginning to drift. There's also a broader...
He had bail. I'm pretty sure he wasn't in jail for a long time. So during the legal case, what I've done is I would have still... Well, my legal case was different, but I'm saying if I was him, I still would have been playing at my home. Give me house arrest, nigga, in basketball, bro. I would have still been trying to work on my game every single day, 6 hours a day. See what I'm saying, chat? I would still been working, nigga. 6 hours a day, every day. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. That's what I used to do, bro. I used to play ball every day, 6 hours a day, bro. That's how I got my skills.
Lesson embedded in the Mikey Williams story that the basketball world has been reluctant to discuss openly. The ecosystem that elevated him to cultural superstardom before he finished high school, the social media machine, the viral highlights, the $1 million endorsement deals before a college debut, the national media attention, none of that infrastructure was designed with a teenager's long-term well-being in mind. It was designed to extract value from a remarkably talented young person at the exact moment when that talent was most marketable. What it did not account for was the pressure that level of attention places on someone still growing up, still making the kinds of mistakes that every young person makes, still figuring out who they are and how to navigate a world that had decided before they were old enough to fully understand the stakes that they were going to be a superstar. That does not excuse the decisions that were made. The events of April 2023 had real consequences, and the people involved in that situation faced real harm. Accountability matters. But understanding why someone in that position might make poor decisions, understanding the environment that surrounded him and the pressure that had been building since middle school, understanding that the same ecosystem that celebrated his dunks and packaged his image for corporate partnerships did not necessarily prepare him for the weight of all of that attention, is part of telling this story honestly. Mikey Williams was never just a basketball player to the industry that built itself around him. He was a product. And when that product became complicated, the industry moved on quickly and efficiently. The human being left behind was 20 years old and facing 9 felony charges. That asymmetry deserves acknowledgement. What remains for him now is a question that only time will answer. He has eligibility remaining. He has a Sacramento State program behind him, with Mike Bibby coaching him directly. A man who spent a career as an elite point guard in the NBA and understands better than most what it takes to make that leap. He has shown in individual moments that
Facts, man. When is his eligibility up? When is Mikey Williams NBA draft eligibility? He did. They don't have a final age limit. Yeah. He's 22. If he doesn't get in 2 years, he's cooked. Honest to God. I wish him the best though. I mean, you made a mistake, but at the end of the day, these type of things happen. You feel me? These type of things happen. He did lose everything. He still got a decent sized fan base though, but yeah, that's what happened, bro, for real. This is how shit is. Alright, y'all. 10:24. Alright, Chip. Josh, I appreciate you joining in here. To the rest of y'all, I'm gonna end the stream. I gotta flip my clothes out.